It's a movie.
Any good?
Very good. It
I,
won the Academy Award
oh, for what?
for best movie ever made.
Let's go!
There are certain films, I think, which can be said to capture the zeitgeist of the era in which they are made. Like Easy Rider comes to mind for the 1960s, Taxi Driver perhaps for the 1970s, maybe Rocky 4 for the 1980s, etc. But now, in the year of our Lord 2026, I think the film which more than any other can be said to capture the current zeitgeist of our age would probably be the film Citizen Vigilante. So I'm assuming that you're already likely familiar with this film since it's kind of blowing up at the time of this recording. But on the off chance that you're not, Citizen Vigilante is an action thriller film by Uwe Boll. Maybe I'm pronouncing that name right, Uwe Boll. The auteur behind such cinematic masterworks as Blood Rain and Postal. It stars Armie Hammer as an American in, I'm guessing, Germany. Like the film kind of just identifies its setting as Europe, but I think it takes place in Germany or somewhere thereabouts. And Armie Hammer plays a character named Sanders, I think, or Sanderson, something like that. Like if we're told his name, it's only used like once in the movie. But anyway, he is a landlord overseeing some properties which he owns in the country, and on the side, he is also a vigilante who deals out lethal justice primarily to foreign migrants. So it probably goes without saying that this film is quite controversial. But it is also blowing up in popularity right now, and it's little wonder why, because it is addressing certain issues which mainstream films, mainstream media, mainstream like public figures, mainstream culture is not really addressing. It is saying certain quiet things out loud. Actually, let me amend that. It is shouting certain quiet things out loud. And it it's something that I'll say is very divisive. The critics obviously are savaging it, but the audiences love it. Now, to talk about this film, I guess it kind of necessitates talking about it in two different regards. Like one on the level of like actual filmmaking and artistry, and then another on the level of like theme and what the movie is actually saying. So, just really quickly, on a technical level, this film is an absolute train wreck. But again, it's an Uwe Boll film. Like, did anyone really expect this to be Citizen Kane? But the script writing is abysmal. Like, to say that this movie even has a plot is being pretty generous. It's really more just like a barely coherent collection of scenes. Um, the effects are largely crap. A lot of it looks like it was shot on an iPhone, kind of. It is not a good film in the area of actual like craftsmanship. It is horrendous, actually. But on the thematic level, on the level of what this film actually says, this is, I think, an immensely important film. You might not like that fact, but it stands nonetheless. This film is incredibly important. In fact, I would go so far as to say that this is probably the most important film of our times. And, what this film really is a primal scream of rage, of righteous indignation by a European filmmaker who has watched Europe being ravaged by crime, incredibly depraved and often grotesque crime committed by people who do not belong in Europe, who choose not to assimilate into the culture of their host countries who don't have any business being there, who are just terrorizing the villages, so to speak. Um, and this film just calls it out. Like, this film was crap on a technical level once again, but if we're talking about just like how based the film is, like this is some S tier stuff right here. Like this is the most based film possibly ever made. Like, the climax of this film, if you can call it a climax, and which I will say is by far like the best put together part of the film, involves our citizen vigilante slaughtering an entire family of Muslim Arabs while giving a soliloquy about the evils of Islam. And also, we get lectures about economics and property rights as well in this. Again, this film is just like incredibly based. It really is. But, you know, this isn't, I'll say, a pleasant film. uh it is kind of an ugly film, but it's ugly because the world is ugly. Like, the world that this film is dealing with, the world that this film is set in and that it is explicitly calling out, is an ugly world. And it, the charge can be rightly leveled against it that it is just wish fulfillment of the most violent and gratuitous sort. But that's all that I mean, it is. But the audiences are responding so powerfully to that because that's all they have left. Like, their governments have demonstrated repeatedly, they continually demonstrate that they will not defend their citizens from these people, that they will prioritize foreign migrants over their citizens. Again, in the UK at least, there is a literal two-tier justice system. Uh, and like, there is no justice being served as regards these people and these crimes they commit in most instances. And so, like, what we're left with is seething rage within the native European psyche, which has now found vent in this very schlocky, very poorly made film, which, despite the poverty of its artistry, is nonetheless, once more, an incredibly important piece of work, and one that I think is uh, it's saying some things that need to be said. There are a lot of films throughout history that have been said, that have been alleged to be, like, intended to incite violence. But Citizen Vigilante genuinely feels like a film that was made with the express intent of inciting real world violence against members of certain demographics. And, for algorithmic reasons, I will not say whether or not I necessarily condone that attitude, but I will say that attitude is 100% understandable, if nothing else. And yeah, this film, it captures the zeitgeist. It captures the zeitgeist of modern Europe and much of modern America in a certain sense. And I think it brings something to the table. I'll say that it is giving vent to some emotions, which, if not, it's giving vent to emotions which are based on issues which, if not addressed very quickly, are going to be uh, are going to result in some, like, very, very unsavory uh, occurrences in the real world. So this film is a valuable work in a sociological, if not a cinematic capacity. But yeah, Citizen Vigilante. Again, on a technical level, this movie is uh, a train wreck. But on a thematic level, this film is important, and it deserves to be talked about. It really does. And perhaps, one can hope this will be a wake up call to certain people in positions of authority, perhaps, because, again, it's often said that life sometimes imitates art, and, like, if that is so, then this film is foreshadowing some very grim events to come if things are not dealt with very shortly. But anyway, it's an interesting film if nothing else. So if you've seen Citizen Vigilante, let me know down in the comments what you thought of it. And if you haven't seen Citizen Vigilante, go watch it. It's once more, it is interesting. If nothing else, it will give you something to talk about. I'll say that it is a ballsy film. It really is. In fact, I would go so far as to say that this is one of the most this is probably the most audacious film that I have ever seen. And I got to tip my hat to Uwe Boll or Uwe whatever however you pronounce it, Uwe Boll. I really got to tip my hat to the dude because his filmmaking chops may leave something to be desired, but his cojones are considerable, and he did something important here. And like I say, watch it if you haven't, because I think it is a valuable and important work. And like I say, it is interesting if nothing else. And as always, if you have enjoyed anything you've seen or heard here today, remember to hit that like button and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And until next time, peace.